All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning into the Anywhere podcast. This is Arch with Ashley and Arch. And my guest today is Connor Wallace-Sims. He's the starting wing for Rugby United NY. Connor, it's great to have you here today.
Cheers for having me. Looking forward
All
to it.
right. Now, Connor is just a quick rundown of his career here, especially as regards to Major League Rugby. He was one of the top scoring wings last year in the 2019 season, scored 8 tries. He also made the Major League Rugby All-Star first team, which was pretty cool there. I know that must have felt pretty good, right?
That was good fun. Yeah. So that was our first season. So managed to get into that one, and yeah, it was. I was quite surprised. Obviously, there's a lot of talent in the MLR and a lot of good wingers as well. But I guess just whatever I did during the season paid off. So it was a good one for me.
Well, and there you go. Now, Connor, obviously the Major League Rugby, the 2020 season got cut short this past spring. So what have you been doing until then? How's that kind of affected you?
Yeah, it was sad that it got cut short. I think we were preparing to play New Orleans and then at home as well. So had a bunch of people ready to come, and then kind of just had to let them know that they'll be getting their tickets refunded, or maybe using. We were actually hoping it was going to only be a couple of weeks. I think I remember, or maybe we'll just miss these games and then pick up, and obviously months later and we're still here. But yeah, other than just keeping up with my personal training, in the gym and stuff, and keeping up top of my fitness, I do have a full-time job as well. So I work in recruitment for insurance and asset management companies. So it's been keeping me busy, and obviously I've been very grateful that my job hasn't been affected during this quarantine as a lot of people have.
Yeah.
So just been pretty much just you know Monday to Friday working. We when everything went into lockdown, we ended up working from home. So been here. My roommate does the same job as well, so that's pretty
Okay.
cool. We just work together. And then the last couple of months, we've actually been back in the office on a bit of a flexible flexible schedule. So it's been good, like being able to get back out and go into the office and ride the subway. It's a bit of a ghost train at the moment, so
Right.
you actually get a seat in during rush hour, which is quite nice.
Yeah. So I know you say you've been keeping up with your fitness. Have you still been able to do team practices, just socially distant, or what's that been looking like?
We haven't actually. So my club team, Old Blue, they started doing that. I've kind of just given myself a little bit more of a break and
Okay.
focus on my own stuff. There's actually a bunch of guys, so like a bunch of Old Blue guys, a bunch of Irish guys that play for a local club around here, and every now and then, we get together and play some pickup touch over here in Brooklyn, and that's good just to get a run around. Obviously, it's not the same as
Right.
playing, but it does kind of cure the itch a little bit.
Gotcha. And then in season in the spring, were you working full time as well?
Yeah. So
Okay.
doing the whole balance thing, work in the office, and then head down to training in the evening, and then just do the gym in my own time. It was pretty tough, but just keeps you busy, keeps you on your toes.
What what advice do you have for? I know a lot of people who watch my channel or rugby players as well. So what kind of advice do you have for as far as kind of once they graduate, and want to keep playing rugby, doing balancing that professional life with trying to keep that rugby dream alive?
I think it's you have to find kind of one, why are you playing, and two, you know you also need to be able to find an employer that's going to allow you to kind of balance both, or they've got to be flexible to a certain extent. So my
Yeah.
company's pretty flexible. They let me go off and maybe leave a little bit early or take a day off if I need to travel. But I think it's just balance really for anyone that's graduating. You need to be able to focus on your job, and then focus on the sport as well. And if your dreams are to play for the MLR or the national team or whatever, you just need to make sure that you're finding the time to put in the work in the mornings or on your breaks or in the evening, just and not getting behind. Because for me, that's something that can happen. I'm not doing this the small skill sessions with the backs that the other guys get, the full-time guys get. So I need to make sure that my skills are on point, or I haven't missed anything. Maybe like a new move that they're doing, I need to be able to catch up on that. So just all about the balance, and then just making sure that you're staying prepared and on top of all the micro skills as well.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And kind of what you just said at first with that finding your why, the reason why you play. What's yours?
Wow. I've been playing since I was 9. I was introduced to it to my dad who played, and him and my sister actually, sorry, my sister and I bugged him for ages to get taken down to a local rugby club. And I think for me, like I was always a little bit smaller and quick on my feet, and I just, even playing around in the park as a kid, just always dodging people. And I found it a sport where you can do that and be rewarded for it.
Yeah.
You go and score a try, and it's a good feeling. And I think for me, it's just playing a sport where you can, you know, have a smaller frame or whatever, and be quick and still be dominant on the field, and still be successful. So yeah, I play it for the fun of beating defenders and running into space, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I did my research on you a little bit before I invited you on here. The pathways for rugby, kind of in the UK, where you're originally from, in the United States, I know they look a little bit different. So here, most people aren't introduced right to the sport until usually college, right? And they play for the college club team. You said you've been playing since 9. What's rugby look like over in the UK versus here in the US, as far as kind of when you're young and growing up being introduced?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because there's lots of routes that you can go to play professionally in England or to a higher level. So, for example, I'd say the most common route is you go for a club route, and then you have these. So my club was called Devonport Services, and there's maybe in our county there may be 20 men's clubs, men's women's clubs,
Mm.
and it starts from under sevens, under eights, under nines, under tens, all the way up to under 16s, and then you
Okay.
go into Colts, which is under 18s. So you like your final 2 years of high school, you play with 17, 18, 16, 17, 18 year olds. And then it goes like club team, third 15, second 15, first 15. And you usually, it's like, for example, myself, I made my men's club debut when I was 17,
Okay.
and that was playing as a 17-year-old, with a bunch of old dudes, still hanging on, still playing on their boots. And you can go that route, so you can then go up into the second team, and then you go into the first 15. And depending on the level of the club, depends on
Mhm.
how harder it is to get into the first 15. So I think I made my first 15 debut when I was 18. And it was more of a lower level sort of local men's rugby club, still pretty good standard. Other clubs will have the same setups with all the juniors and then all the tiers of the clubs, but then their first 15 may be a semi-professional side.
Okay.
Um, so out of high school, so I went to a high school called Ivy Bridge College, and this is another route where we were linked with Exeter Chiefs as a bit of like an academy partner. So a lot of the guys would you know play for us, and then obviously be doing their studies, and then maybe go and play for an academy game for Exeter Chiefs against other Premiership academies.
Mhm.
And then through that you can get an academy contract. You can play A League, which is like the subdivision of the Premiership,
Mhm.
um, and then you go to England age grades, and that starts with England 16s, 18s, 20s, Saxons, and then obviously the senior team or sevens or whatever. So then I moved from where I was in Plymouth and moved to Canterbury, and joined a team that had a semi-professional men's first 15 side. So ended up playing for their second team a few games, and then got called up to the first team. Played a couple seasons there. Um, and the options for that it gets quite confusing because there's so many things you can do. So through that you can then play for your county, which I also did, representing as a kid. So under 16s, 17s, 18s, and 20s. That's quite a cool thing. So you play like rivaling counties, and through that you
Okay.
can play for your region, and you can play for like England counties. And there's so many ways you can like grow up the ranks. It's honestly like, you'd need it wrote out in front of you.
Just kind of like a tree, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, yeah.
Okay.
Now, was it about 18 when you realized, hey, maybe I can do this professionally, as far as like overseas playing, or what led to you joining the USA national team?
Yeah. So it started when I was with. I guess I can go back. So like when I was with Ivybridge, my high school team, I think somebody had, or one of the coaches had approached me saying that you're on the USA um, under 20s radar. Um, like they've been asking about you, blah blah blah, and I thought somebody was just having me on, and I was like,
Yeah.
why would they know who I was? Or and I remember as a kid just like logging my details into the USA system, basically saying that I was eligible. So maybe that it was that came back and had helped out or whatever. I guess I really thought that I could do something with it when I signed with Canterbury and was getting paid, even though it was like 40 pound, or like
Okay.
70 bucks a game. So your beer money at the end of the game. But
Hmm.
um, it was then, and then I got picked up by the USA 20s, and I went to Hong Kong, and I spoke to a few people. I think it was I emailed Alex Magleby, who was like one of the directors of USA Rugby at the time, and they were basically just like, if you're not in an academy system, you need to be over here playing. And I came over to New York when I was 19, as with no real expectations. I just wanted to experience the life in New York City, and
Hmm.
see what the rugby over here had to offer. And um, playing with Old Blue for a couple of years, and then I get called up into the sevens program, and was fortunate enough to go on a couple of World Series tours. Um, that my time with USA was cut short, and then that's when New York got a pro team. So everything's kind of not really been planned. It's
Yeah.
just like it's just kind of happened, and I kind of just tried to stick with it, and just enjoy every opportunity that comes, and just go from there, really.
Okay. And so I've been to New York once. I was in New Jersey for a week, but every day I was hopping over to New York. And I was so excited to ride the subway, and it was gross. How do you like living in New York?
I absolutely love it. So
Yeah.
I've lived all over. I lived in the Bronx in the Old Blue Rugby House. So I lived there for 18 months. I lived in Harlem for a bit. I lived in Chinatown for a bit longer, and then more recently I've been in Bushwick in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And it's just a cool energy in New York. I always say to people, like whenever they say what's your favorite thing about it, I just say
Hmm.
something new every day.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe not so much now that we're in quarantine, but before that, you can always see something interesting, or be wandering around and there's some cool artwork, or a new coffee shop that you haven't tried, or a new rooftop bar that you can go and check out with your friend. Like it's such a dope place where there's so much going on. I think it's so hard to stay away from here.
Yeah, I feel that, and especially you moved over here when you were how old then?
No, I was 19, yeah.
19. Okay. And are you planning to stay until your rugby career is over, or just permanently? What are you thinking?
Well, I got a dual citizenship, so it kind of makes it easier for me
Oh,
to,
okay.
to maybe to maybe bounce around. Yeah. Um, but New York has me for now. Obviously, I've been here for 5 years. I was obviously the year that I was in San Diego for sevens, but
Hmm.
um, I can't think of anywhere else that I would I would move to at this point.
I gotcha. Jumping more onto kind of rugby specifically. So when I was watching some of your highlight reels and things on YouTube, kind of what I noticed was the clips of you playing with Old Blue. You had a lot of kind of breakaways at the end, just beating guys with your speed. And then when I was watching those 8 tries that you scored for New York, a lot of them were, I mean, there's 6 inches between the touch line and the defender, and you're sliding that ball right in there in that corner to make that try. So was there a big difference and a big adjustment going from playing club into Major League Rugby as far as the speed of the game and things like that?
Yeah, it is a big jump, especially playing sort of like ARP or D1, whatever you want to call it, from Old Blue, and then up into MLR. The physicality is up there. You're playing against guys that are, training full time, that maybe ex-professionals, or, professionals that are, sorry, the current professionals, but kind of winding down at their career. Um, so the speed of the game goes up, the space, limits, the chances aren't there as much. So, for my role in that first year was it was quite a lot of finishing rather than, breakaway tries. I think I had a few good sort of line breaks or half line breaks, but the space shuts down so quickly, and I'm quick on my feet, and I've got a good 20-30 meter speed, but I'm not like a Carlin or a Perry kind of speed where you just give them the ball and watch them go. Like, I've got to be a bit more creative and smart with how it works. And that actually showed this last season that got cancelled. I actually went into the season a little bit heavier. So I like to be around sort of like 85 kilograms. I don't know what that is in pounds. I think it's like 180, 186 or something.
Okay.
And I went in at, I think, 201. So I was at around 92
Big
kilograms.
Yeah.
And I'm only 5'10", and 92 kilograms just it was too big. It was, I wasn't moving as well as I could. I didn't really have the confidence to beat a defender, that kind of thing. And I just felt slow. And I was, looking back on footage as well, and I was just like, wow, 3 kilograms ago, I would have, skinned this dude. I would have, I would have got around. I would have even done something else. And yeah, so it's interesting how, the physicality changes, but your mind has to kind of adjust to it as well, just with knowing that maybe something's not going to be on as it was, playing for Old Blue or whatever.
Yeah, one thing that I thought was really cool is there's a lot of, I played wing as well in college. I still do. I play with the D3 men's club. But one thing that was kind of a jump for me in the opposite way was in college, their kids who are picking up the sport are usually coming from football or something like that. So I was one of the slower wings. But when I got to men's league, most of these guys are 30, so my speed went up. You know what I mean? What I liked about you is that kind of your, that goose step and the sidestepping, all those things, that if you're someone who just relies on the speed, once that speed bonus or whatever is kind of gone, where everyone's generally the same speed as you, if that's all you had, right, there's nothing else you can do. And so talk a little bit about that as far as kind of how you develop that.
Yeah, I've always kind of focused on my my footwork. Is something that I've just kind of had since I was a kid, and then I thought I'd just kind of make sure that's something that I didn't lose and have it as one of my main weapons. But I think other than that, as well as my kicking boot, I've always made sure that I can kick. I grew up playing a lot of soccer. Nobody, like, it's the number one sport in England, and nobody wants to play pickup rugby, so we go to the park and play pickup soccer, and that's good for your footwork and good for the obviously kicking the ball out of the hand and stuff. Other than that as well, just making sure that my passing, I've actually played a little bit at fly half and centre with Old Blue, and then playing sevens. I'm actually a half back in sevens, so a lot of good, making sure that my passing off both hands is good. And what that does as well is, as a winger playing the 15s game, it means I can be utilised in different parts of the field. I don't have to just stay on my wing. They bring me off the wing, and I can, I could step up at 10 or step up at second receiver if I had to. And that just makes me more dimensional. And, other players that would be in my position, if they're just fast, then that's good. But, they may not be on the field for as long as I'll be on the field, because I can, provide more options as a player. So that's something that I've been really trying to make sure I've been good at, over the last couple of years.
Yeah. What would you say, speaking to all the other wings out there, what would you say the most important quality in a good wing is?
Just, I think, being an option. I think a lot of people think we just stand out there and look good and wait for the ball and just finish the work. But then you've got to think there's sometimes where the ball's going the other way. So how can you be effective off of your wing? Are you going to be tracking inside the 10? Are you going to be somebody that's going to be playing out the back of another player on the other side? Or are you organising? Because obviously we know forwards are not the smartest people, so they'll just stand there. So maybe I can come off my wing, put a forward on the wing, and then I can organise then. So I think just being an organizer, just being busy, and then obviously they're the ones that are going to really help. But obviously, you have to be able to finish as well. You have to be able to beat a defender. I'd say you want to be making at least 5 meters every time. You know, you need to be making 2 people bring you down, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then just having whatever your flair is, whatever the bit of X factor that you can bring to the table, then that's what you gotta have.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too. What's your from Major League Rugby? What is your favorite moment? Doesn't necessarily have to be a try, but just kind of a play that you had and you thought like, wow, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing my thing.
Oh, I think so. It was away at New Orleans in my first year. Um, we just came off of beating San Diego, and then we went to New Orleans, and it's pretty tough down there. It's hot. They've got a really good crowd and fan base. And my opposite man was Tristan Blewett, who's a South African lad. He's a very, very good player. He's played a lot of academy rugby in South Africa, and he's just a very tough guy. And I was watching his videos and I was watching his stuff, and I was like, okay, this guy's going to be a difficult person for me to mark.
Mhm.
And I just remember they get a scrum in um, our 22. He's my winger, and they just fed him the ball to give him a one-on-one against me, and I just let him go around me, and I just smashed him into touch. And after that, we had a line out on our 5 meter line, and then because I've got a left boot, I get used as a clearance kicker, so I'd hit him into touch. We have a line out, we win the ball, and then I punted the ball like 40 meters back down the field and cleared the lines. I thought that was a really cool moment for me. And then ended up scoring in that game, and he comes flying in afterwards as I put the ball down and smashed him. And you can see in the video where I'm about to go after him, and like the guys kind of hold me back. But he's a good guy, and he's a really good player as well. But that was cool moment for me.
Yeah, that was very cool. Have your parents or your close family had the opportunity to come over and watch you play?
So I've actually got an auntie and uncle that live in just outside the city, so they come to every home game.
Okay.
I always have 2 tickets for them to go and watch Rooney when we're at home. My dad hasn't seen me play for a while. My mum and sister came over last year, but they only got to see Old Blue versus Nyack game, which was a good one. We ended up winning that, but I think that was the first time in, I think 5 years that my mum had seen me play, so that was really cool.
That's super cool.
My mom only came to one game. It was my senior year of college. She was afraid I was gonna kill myself. So it's probably better that she didn't, but it's just kind of the send off. So it's always cool when you got folks who come in and watch kind of consistently. I did want to ask, what are your goals for kind of the 2021 season and beyond? I know you're still young. You're my age, right? 25?
25, yeah.
Yeah. What are your goals? I mean, how long do you think you can play, and what do you hope to accomplish?
So I think I got the question. Yeah. So I'm 25 now. Obviously, injury. Hopefully stay injury free for as long as possible. But I do have the goal of playing for the USA 15s team. I've been fortunate enough to train with them a couple of times and see what that's about and the intensity at what level they're training. So I've got an understanding of what I need to do to be there. I think it's just a matter of time and just having a number of consistent performances going into that. Make the World Cup would be difficult, but I think there's an opportunity for me to train full time and knuckle down and pursue that. That would be something that I'd definitely want to do.
And it looks like I know we're having some connection issues here, so I'll let you go here in just a second. I did promise you
I was going to give you some time to kind of talk about sponsorships and kind of anything that you'd like. So why don't you go ahead and let the audience know what you've been up to?
Yeah, so I've been working with HPM Group in over the last couple of months. So that's run by one of my current teammates, Anthony Parry, an ex-teammate, Matt Houston, and a guy who's a bit of a jack of all trades. He's a bit of a lawyer, also ex-rugby player, a guy called Ryan Murphy. And basically what they've done is just set up a group where they can be kind of like the player agents for MLR guys, and they've actually expanded a little bit. They've got a guy who plays for the Hong Kong national team who's working with them as well. So what they've been doing is basically just setting us up with different brands. So they've hooked us up with some protein. They hooked us up with World Rugby shops. So we'll be getting some I think a couple of pairs of boots and some training gear. And then sort of moving forward, they're looking at getting us more sponsorship deals and trying to get us more money on our contracts, that kind of thing. And maybe a better contract with whatever goes into it. So it's just been really cool working with them for the last couple of months. And honestly, I think if you're a younger rugby player and you have aspirations of playing in the MLR, or just being connected with a better team or whatever, these are the guys you should probably be speaking with. I think even as a starting out point, they've grown very quickly. I know they're probably looking to be at 1,000 followers on Instagram by the end of the year. They're over halfway there now, so things are going good. But that's been really cool to work with those guys.
Okay, perfect. And then what I'll do is if you got the website link, we'll go ahead and drop it down at the bottom of the video here.
Mm-hmm.
You guys definitely make sure to check that out. And then I've got to give a shout out to there's a Facebook group for rugby players called Quarantine Chuggers for Qualified Ruggers. I don't know if you've heard of that one or not, but we've got, I think, over 40,000. Someone started in the middle of quarantine in March, April, something like that. I'm a teacher, so I can't drink alcohol on camera, but I'll just have a little chug for them. So nice to talk to you, man. I really appreciate you taking this time out of your day to kind of talk about what a pro rugby player's life is like, and kind of the things that led up to that moment. Like I said, any other things, any other links, anything like that, just send them to me. I'll post them at the bottom of this video. And I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, man.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're ever in Minnesota, you come play touch with us, all right?
I will. 100%.
Right.
Take you up on that. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Cheers.
Well, guys, that was my interview with Connor Wallace-Sims, the starting wing for Rugby United New York. Super cool guy, great story. I really hope that athletes, especially rugby players, are able to take some tips as far as kind of his strategies and some things that he's noticed playing rugby at the top American level. I'm going to leave links to all of his links and sponsorships and things at the bottom of this video. Make sure that you check him out. Go give him a follow on Instagram, and go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram too. It's at Anywhere Athletes. Thanks so much for watching and supporting this video. I'll see you next time.